so that today I have another class also. That's why we will finish the topic of political executive properly. That's why. Can everyone see political executive on their screens?
Yes.
Great. So just a second, everyone. So yes, last time we have discussed who is an executive. So I have told you all also that this is the definition in this here. At different levels of any government, we find functionaries who take day-to-day decisions but do not exercise supreme power on behalf of the people. Remember, students, in a democracy, supreme power on behalf of the people is exercised only by the parliament, especially the Lok Sabha in India, we are talking about. But the decisions which are taken in the Lok Sabha, the laws which are passed in the Lok Sabha, etc., who is going to practically implement it in the country, in the day-to-day life? So first is definitely our Prime Minister, because here we have seen that we noted the role of the Prime Minister in taking that decision, but we also know that he could not have taken that decision if he did not have support from Lok Sabha. In that sense, he was only executing the wishes of the Parliament. So Prime Minister of India, yes, definitely ऐसा नहीं है कि उनके पास कोई independent power ही नहीं है. Definitely he has independent powers, but generally the Prime Minister of India is implementing the laws or the things which are, you can say, wishes of the Parliament. So at different levels of any government, we find functionaries who take day-to-day decisions but do not exercise supreme power on behalf of the people. All those functionaries are collectively known as the executive. Why? They are called executive because they are in charge of execution of the policies of the government. If you have any confusion, you can even find the dictionary meaning of the word execution. Thus, normally when we talk about the government, we are generally talking about the executive. Today also, students, जब भी हम बात करते हैं ये सरकार ने ऐसा किया, सरकार ने वैसा किया, government has done that, government is doing this. In our mental picture, whom we consider as the government in our mental picture, mental image? Do we think about the parliament? Do we think about the judiciary, or we think about the prime minister and the cabinet of ministers? Hurry up, everyone. Those who are sleeping, wake up.
The Prime Minister and Cabinet Minister.
Prime Minister and the cabinet of ministers. Whenever we say government did that, government is doing this, government is going to implement this policy, etc., etc., government is going to impose lockdown, we are talking about the prime minister, who is the prime executive member of the executive, and the cabinet ministers. Railway minister, finance minister, minister of textile industry. There are many. Defense minister. So now, last time I told you all, I think maybe I gave you a little introduction. There are two types of, till now, students, you all have read about executive. Executive execute the power, they implement. But now you should know that there are two types of executive: political and permanent executive. Who are political executive, students? I will read the text, but first just understand. Political executives are the ministers whom the people elect. Okay, ministers कौन बनते हैं लोकसभा में? The member of parliaments whom we choose in general elections, who the people of India choose in the general election, they only become the member of parliaments. From those member of parliaments, there are 543 member of parliaments, isn't it, students? Yes, in the Lok Sabha. Yes, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
From those 543 member of parliaments, the prime minister, he chooses his cabinet of ministers. वो उसमें से cabinet ministers को choose करते हैं. So those cabinet ministers and the prime minister, they are the political executive. And they keep changing. Obviously, they will keep changing. After every general election, the political executives will keep changing after every general election. Now, these political executives keep changing. Okay, so ये तो ministers हैं, Prime Minister Modi, cabinet ministers. Okay, they do a meeting or they take a decision and they implement. They have declared that this law is going to be implemented, etc. But in all over the country, do the cabinet ministers and prime minister go to every district, every state, every village, and everywhere to implement those laws? Or they are just doing it at a higher level from the central position in New Delhi? Students, do the cabinet ministers and the prime ministers and they all go to every state and every district to implement those laws because they are the executive?
No, sir.
No, sir. They had it from Delhi
They
only,
just give
from
orders.
Parliament.
They just give orders that these laws should be implemented. These laws must be implemented here and there. Okay, like for example, last year, Prime Minister Modi, after discussions, Prime Minister Modi, like lockdown happened. So before the lockdown, Prime Minister Modi had talks with the cabinet ministers and other ministers, etc. Okay, so it was a consensual decision, and after that, Prime Minister Modi said that lockdown will be implemented. He just gave the orders of implementation. After that, all over the country, it was I think everyone has saw how major was the role of the district magistrate, isn't it, in the role of implementing these laws? Yes, these rules and regulations all over the country, isn't it? इस बार भी तो हुआ है. Even right now, it was at the district level, district magistrate ordered the things to happen. So in a democratic country, two categories make up the executive. Please remember that very clearly. In a democratic country, two categories make up the executive. One that is elected by the people for a specific period is called political executive. Remember that. Political leaders who take big decisions fall in this category. Remember, students, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि 543 member of parliament, those who are going to the Lok Sabha, they all are political executive. No. Only the ministers or political leaders who are taking the big executive decisions for the country. That is the prime minister, cabinet ministers, and other independent ministers are there. Only they are the political executive. In the second category, people are appointed on a long-term basis. This is called permanent executive or civil services. Everyone knows about civil services. Civil services exams are one of the most competitive exams of the world. Many people prepare for it. Yes. Any student here who know any person or maybe even in their cousins or in their any family who has prepared for civil services or is preparing? Anyone? Anyone who wants to become a civil servant, want to go to the civil services, IAS, PCS, IFS, there are many such posts. Abhishek, great. Anyone else? Okay, no one else. Aman Ali and everyone else, hopefully everyone is listening properly. This class, extra class is important. That's why I'm only doing it. So, civil servants or civil services are the permanent executive. Ministers they are not elected, they are appointed. So see, there is a basic difference. Here you can see the basic difference. They are elected. Political executive are elected. Permanent executives are appointed. Difference क्या है? Elected means political executive are chosen by the people. Appointed means civil servants are not elected by the people. They are appointed, through a entire process of civil service examinations, training, etc. So दोनों में difference है. अच्छा, now you all tell me that between the political executive and the permanent executives, who is more powerful? Think. And think about what is democracy. In a democracy, who is more powerful? Like in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, who was more powerful? The house which was chosen by the people. Same way, who will be more powerful? Even in general things, the ministers whom we elect who are playing the role of the executive, or the IAS officers, PCS, and the civil servants, etc.? Who will be more powerful? Yes. Come on, everyone, guess at least.
Ministers.
Okay, Abhishek is saying the ministers. Anyone else?
Some ministers.
Ministers. Okay. These days, Maitreyi and others keep very quiet. Okay, Maitreyi is even in hold. Gandharvi also, Ekagra, everyone quiet, everyone. Yes, ministers. The political executive, we will not say ministers directly, political executive is more powerful. So let us see. Persons working in civil services are called civil servants. We all know about that. You know, IAS, IFS, you know, there are Indian Forest Services are there, Indian Foreign Services are there, Indian Economic Services are there. You know, normally when we talk about civil services, we generally talk about IAS. No, there are many posts. So these persons working in civil services are called civil servants. They remain in office even when the ruling party changes. You know, the political executives will change when the ruling party changes after every election, but the permanent executives stay in their post until they retire. These offices works under the political executive and assist them in carrying out day-to-day administration. So remember, what is the work of the permanent executive? That the civil servants, these officers, they work under the political executive and assist the political executives in carrying out day-to-day administration, in implementation of rules, regulations, laws, in maintaining of peace all over the world, all over the country. So they assist them all over the country. So that's why there are, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of civil servants all over India. Can you recall the role of political and non-political executive in the case of the office memorandum? So always it is talked about the office memorandum. Students, this person who signed, who was the minister? He was from which department? Can anyone tell us? Quickly turn the first page and tell us which officer signed the office memorandum with the orders to implement the Mandal Commission's recommendation. He was from which department? Quickly. In the beginning of the chapter it is given. Yes. Come on, students.
And he was from the
Department of Personnel and Training.
Okay, he was from the Department of Personnel and Grievances. So he was also, you know, he was at a high post. So he was also a civil servant. Remember that. So you might ask, why does the political executive have more power than the non-political executive? Very simple, students. क्यों political executive के पास non-political executive, that is civil servants से ज़्यादा power है? Because remember, in a democracy, we people are the most powerful. So the ministers whom we elect, they are more powerful. Why is the minister more powerful than the civil servant? You know, normally civil servants, IAS officers and others, you know, they are much more educated. They are more expert in the knowledge of their subject. You know, they are advisors. They work as advisors. You know, so we should always think that civil servants who are much more knowledgeable than most of the politicians, the 99% of the politicians, you know, civil servants, they know much better. You know, they are experts in their field of knowledge. You know, someone is expert in the field of finance, someone is expert in the field of foreign services, like that. So why then the political executive, the ministers are more powerful than the civil servants? So here it is given, the civil servants is usually more educated and has more expert knowledge of the subject. The advisors working in the finance ministry know more about economics than the finance minister. बच्चों एक चीज याद रखना, you know, like the finance minister, the defense minister, and you know, be it any of the ministers, they all are assisted by many advisors. There are secretaries Okay, and the advisors of the cabinet ministers, their secretaries, they all are civil servants. So let us say Nirmala Sitharaman. Okay, so Nirmala Sitharaman has taken a decision, a financial decision for the country. So before taking that decision, she's consulting with many advisors. She has secretaries, she has, and after that, what she finds is proper, she will implement for the country. So इस बात को याद रखना. All ministers have many advisors, remember, and they all are civil servants. Sometimes the minister may know very little about the technical matters that come under their ministry. Sometimes, let us say, I make someone a defense minister, and that person knows nothing about defense. Not nothing, knows very, very, very little about the defense ministry. How that person is going to be defense minister? He will absolutely rely on his advisors. This could happen in ministries like defense, industry, health, science, technology, mines, etc. Let us say health minister, जो भी हैं, is it necessary that always the health minister is a doctor? No, na. Right now, health minister. So if the health minister is not a doctor or someone from the medical profession, how he's going to know properly about the health matters of the nation? So again, they all are assisted by civil servants who are expert in that field of knowledge. So why should the minister have the final say in these matters? Why should at the end the ministers have all the power and have the power to take final decisions? The reason is very simple. In a democracy, the will of the people is supreme. People's choice is the supreme. The minister is an elected representative of the people and thus empowered to exercise the will of the people on their behalf. Very important, please underline this point. Why the minister is more powerful? Because the minister is an elected representative of the people and we have given the power to minister to exercise on our behalf. She is finally answerable to the people for all the consequences of her decision. Here it is talking about कि अगर कोई minister कोई decision लेता है, उस decision का जो भी प्रभाव होगा, whatever impact will be there of the decision, the minister is answerable to us. Democracy में ऐसा नहीं कि कोई भी minister कुछ भी कर दिया, कोई भी decision ले लिया, and they will say nothing like a dictator. No, any minister takes any decision for the country and उसके वजह से जो भी हमारे साथ हो रहा है, the minister is answerable to us. They will have to answer why the minister did something like that. That is why the minister takes all the final decisions. The minister decides the overall framework and objectives in which decision on the policy should be made. The minister is not expected to be an expert in the matters of her ministry. The minister takes the advice of experts on all technical matters. But very often experts hold different options or place before her more than one option. Let us say, what is here it is talking about, everyone pay attention. The minister decides the overall framework and objectives in which decision or policy needs to be made. Let us say the finance minister. The finance minister will give a plan, she will give an agenda, she will give a goal that we will have to reach this goal. This is the plan. We will have to implement this plan all over the country. Now, the advisors, they will work on that plan, how we can implement that plan. अब मान लो 10 advisors हैं, there are 10 advisors to a minister. Maybe there are 4 to 5 plans they offer to the minister. 4 to 5 suggestions they offer. अब ये minister का काम है that the minister thinks which is the best option and takes it and then implement it on the country. The minister is not an expert or is expected to be an expert in the matters of her ministry, but the minister takes the advice of experts on all technical matters. But very often experts hold different opinions or place before her more than one option. Depending on what is the overall objective, the minister decide. Overall क्या objective है? Overall पूरे देश के लिए क्या सही है? उसको देख के the minister decides what should be the final decision. Actually, this happens in any large organization. Those who understand the overall picture take the most important decision, not the experts. Okay, for example, in your school, students, you have two head authorities. First, director ma'am, and then principal sir. Yes, everyone? Yes or no? हाँ ना, or everyone is sleeping. Correct.
Yes,
मान लो
yes.
मान लो एक मीटिंग होता है. Let us say a meeting is there. Annual function is going on and these things are going on. Earlier school was open, now school is not open. So let us say, they will ask, a vice principal ma'am, vice principal sir, they will ask all the teachers for their opinion. Shruti ma'am, they will ask the teachers that what is their opinion? Should it be online? Should it be offline? And any other suggestions. Then, Shruti ma'am, Ram Singh sir, Smriti ma'am, they will tell the opinion of teachers. Let us say the teachers are like advisors, civil servants. Okay, now they will give the options which the teachers have given, they will pass it on to principal sir. Then principal sir will think and decide what is the best option for the annual function right now, how it should be conducted. Then he will discuss the matter with director ma'am. And then director ma'am will finally think what is the best, and then she will ask principal sir to implement the decision. Let us say principal sir is like the prime minister. He will implement the decision. So that is how a minister works. Minister is you can say minister thinks about the overall picture, and it happens in any organization. जैसे executives work करते हैं, it happens in any organization, big organization. So those who understand the overall picture take the most important decisions, not the experts. The experts can tell the route, but someone with a larger view decides the destination. मान लो there is a political leader जो 40 साल से या 30 साल से politics में है. He has seen the changes in the country, he understands the people better. So that person has a bigger view, larger view of the situation. And that is the role which elected ministers perform. Understood, everyone? Everyone, please, I'm giving you all
Yes, sir.
2 minutes. I'm giving you all 2 minutes. The class will run till 9:15. I had already told you yesterday. In 2 minutes, just have a look at this topic and see if there is any confusion. Then I will start Prime Minister and Council of Ministers. This is the topic up to where, just a second, this is the topic up to where in your unit test it will come. Prime Minister and Council of Ministers. यहाँ तक UT में आएगा. Till up to this topic. Yes. Anyone has any question?
Sir, I have a question that, sir, if the people are not happy with the work of the cabinet ministers, sir, can they change the position of the cabinet minister?
No, people cannot change the position of the cabinet minister. Only the prime minister can do that. Yes, people can show their, feelings. People can express their feelings. There are various ways through media, through writing. Now we have social media. Okay, so people can express their views if they are not happy with any cabinet minister or the decision. And then it is up to the government. It is mainly up to the prime minister what he does. Understood, Priyanshi?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Remember, only the prime minister has the power to change cabinet ministers, to appoint cabinet ministers, to reshuffle, change the ministries between two ministers. The prime minister can do that. All in your own books. Everyone has the book. Check this topic. Read it. Should we move ahead, everyone, with Prime Minister and Council of Ministers? Students? Think you all are still reading?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Still
sir.
reading.
Still. Yes.
1 minute more. Just check it. Well, you all have the time till the next period also. Okay, time to start the new topic. Time is going on. Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. Everyone now focus on this one. Keep reading that later on. Prime Minister is the most important political institution of the country. Remember, in our country, Prime Minister has the main political authority, and President is kind of like a figurehead, political figurehead. Yet there is no direct election. Students, this question always comes in your test, in your examination. Last year it came, so mark it as important. And there is no direct election for the Prime Minister. Why? Yet there is no direct election to the post of the Prime Minister. The President appoints the Prime Minister, but the President cannot appoint anyone she likes. याद रखना, प्राइम मिनिस्टर के पोस्ट के लिए डायरेक्ट इलेक्शंस नहीं होते हैं. Yes, a political party can show someone as their, like Mr. Narendra Modi. BJP's candidate was Prime Minister Narendra Modi, but the elections did not happen in India just to elect the Prime Minister. It was a general election to elect the member of parliaments for Lok Sabha. तो प्राइम मिनिस्टर के पोस्ट के लिए कोई इलेक्शन नहीं होता है, डायरेक्ट इलेक्शन. You all should know that president appoints the prime minister, but the president cannot appoint anyone the president likes as the prime minister. The president appoints, please underline and understand it very properly. Everyone is confused in this topic. The president appoints the leader of the majority party or the coalition of parties that commands a majority in the Lok Sabha as prime minister. Who is the prime minister? The president appoints the leader of the majority party. So, मान लो बीजेपी ने दिखाया मिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी इज द प्राइम मिनिस्टेरियल कैंडिडेट इन द लोकसभा इलेक्शंस, जनरल इलेक्शंस. इसका मतलब क्या है? अगर बीजेपी को मेजॉरिटी वोट मिलता है, इफ बीजेपी गेट्स मेजॉरिटी सीट्स इन द पार्लियामेंट, then Prime Minister Modi, Narendra Modi, Mr. Narendra Modi will be the leader of the majority party BJP. Or if BJP wins elections with the help of some other parties and makes a coalition government, then it is already decided that Mr. Narendra Modi will be chosen as the leader of the majority. इस बात को ये बात समझ में आया सबको? Everyone think what I just said. अगर मान लो कि कोई भी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी जनरल इलेक्शंस हो रहे हैं, कांग्रेस said that their prime ministerial candidate is Rahul Gandhi, बीजेपी said their prime ministerial candidate is Mr. Narendra Modi. But इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि जनरल इलेक्शन is happening just to appoint the prime minister. No, there is no such election. Meaning क्या है? Only remember the leader of the majority party which gets maximum number of seats in Lok Sabha can become the prime minister. So already parties pre-decide करके रखते हैं कि अगर मेरी पार्टी जीती, अगर बीजेपी जीतती है, so it is already decided that Mr. Narendra Modi will be the leader of the majority party. So that is prime ministerial candidate. Acha, do you all remember this thing that when UP elections happened last time, was it already decided before the elections that Mr. Yogi Adityanath will be the chief minister face, or it was decided after the elections? Anyone remembers? द यूपी इलेक्शन, क्या लोगों को पहले से पता था दैट योगी आदित्यनाथ इज गोइंग टू बिकम द चीफ मिनिस्टर, और आफ्टर बीजेपी वन ऑल ओवर यूपी it was later people got to know that who is going to be the chief minister? Later. No, not before, later. There was no prime minister, there was no chief ministerial candidate, koi candidate nahi tha. Later they decided, okay, that in the Vidhan Sabha of UP, Yogi Adityanath will be the leader of the majority party of UP Vidhan Sabha. So remember always this, कौन प्राइम मिनिस्टर होता है? द लीडर ऑफ द मेजॉरिटी पार्टी और द कोalition ऑफ पार्टीज दैट कमांड्स अ मेजॉरिटी इन द लोकसभा इज अपॉइंटेड एज द प्राइम मिनिस्टर बाय द प्रेसिडेंट. In case no single party or alliance gets a majority, which never happened in India, the president appoints the person most likely to secure a majority support. इसका मतलब क्या है? मान लो कोई भी, किसी को भी मेजॉरिटी नहीं मिलता है, नो political party gets a majority, even no coalition is also getting a majority in the elections, then president खुद से then he will select a person जो जिसको majority support मिल सकता है, who can get majority votes of people in the Lok Sabha. The prime minister does not have a fixed tenure. He continues in power so long as he remains the leader of the majority party or coalition. Remember that prime minister does not have a fixed tenure. Yes, 5 years is their normal tenure, but the do you remember that thing हम लोगों ने पढ़ा था इसके पहले about in the Indian Parliament, that if majority of the member of parliaments pass a no confidence motion against the prime minister and the cabinet ministers, they will have to resign at that moment. याद है? In the parliament we have read it. अगर member of parliaments, majority of member of parliaments in the Lok Sabha, if they say we have no confidence in the prime minister and the member of the cabinet, that is cabinet ministers, and if they withdrew their support, अगर वो अपना सपोर्ट हटा लेते हैं from the prime minister and cabinet ministers, then the prime minister and his cabinet of ministers will have to resign. इसका मतलब क्या है? प्राइम मिनिस्टर तब तक प्राइम मिनिस्टर बने रह सकते हैं in power up to the point he is enjoying majority support of the majority party. Otherwise वो उनको हटना पड़ेगा. ऐसा कभी होता नहीं है. Normally it never has happened. No confidence motion was never passed in India, so it has never yet happened, but it is like that. After the appointment of the prime minister, see, this is important, the president appoints other ministers on the advice of prime minister. So first, the leader of the majority party in the parliament is appointed as the prime minister. After that, prime minister gives suggestions to the president that this person should be appointed as minister of this person should be appointed as the minister of defense, this member of parliament should be elected as finance minister. So prime minister के advice से president appoints other ministers, mainly that is cabinet ministers. The ministers are usually from the party or the coalition that has the majority in the Lok Sabha. अभी बच्चों cabinet ministers जितने भी हैं, do you think that the cabinet ministers right now are from Congress party or any other party, or all the cabinet ministers are from BJP only? Yes, students, right now the cabinet ministers who are there, at least guess if you do not know the proper answer. Right now the cabinet ministers who are there in India, be it finance minister, defense minister, or any other minister, are they all from the BJP or they are from Congress and other parties also who are minority party, who are opposition party?
The other parties also.
No, not the other parties. So याद रखना, मिनिस्टर्स यूजुअली उसी पार्टी से होते हैं जिस पार्टी को मेजॉरिटी मिली होती है, either party or a coalition. Right now BJP has a full majority in the Lok Sabha. So the cabinet ministers or ministers are only from that party or coalition of parties who has a majority in the Lok Sabha. Opposition parties से those parties who have lost the elections, you know, from them there are no ministers. क्यों? Why? Because opposition party के लोग हार गए election. People do not want that there should be any minister from the parties which have lost. That is why सिर्फ उन्हीं पार्टी से मिनिस्टर्स होते हैं जिनकी मेजोरिटी होती है लोकसभा में. Always remember that. The Prime Minister is free to choose the ministers as long as they are members of the parliament. Very important. The Prime Minister is free to choose ministers as long as they are members of parliament. That is, her minister, Prime Minister, all the cabinet ministers, other ministers, they all need to be member of parliament. बच्चों, कोई भी, no one can become a minister without being a member of parliament. कोई भी minister बन रहा है, anyone becoming cabinet minister or any other minister means they are member of parliament. Sometimes a person who is not a member of parliament can also become a minister. Okay, that is interesting. But how? But such a person has to get elected to one of the houses of parliament within 6 months of appointment as a minister. इसका एक example मैं आपको देता हूं from a state level. Do you all remember the West Bengal elections last year? Students, anyone remembers the West Bengal elections from last year? It created a lot of news. Yes, no, anything?
Yes, yes.
Okay, Mamata Banerjee was fighting from a particular constituency, okay, for becoming the member of legislative assembly. जैसे parliament में है कि no one can become a minister if they are not member of parliament. Same way in a state, किसी राज्य में no one can become a minister, even the chief minister, if they are not an MLA, if they're not chosen by a people. But did Mamata Banerjee win from the constituency she was fighting for, or she lost the elections? Anyone knows? Mamata Banerjee जिस constituency से लड़ रही थी for the post of MLA, did she won in that constituency or she lost?
One.
No, she lost. Mamata Banerjee जिस constituency से, not Mamata Banerjee's party, not Trinamool Congress I'm talking about. Mamata Banerjee, from the constituency from where she was fighting, she was contesting elections to become an MLA in West Bengal Legislative Assembly, वहां से वो हार गई. She lost. But उसके बाद भी वो chief minister बन गई. How come? She is not an MLA, but she became a chief minister. Why? Because she was the leader of the majority party. ममता बनर्जी जो है वो तृणमूल कांग्रेस की लीडर थी और तृणमूल कांग्रेस को मेजॉरिटी वोट मिला था in the West Bengal Vidhan Sabha. That is why automatically she became the chief minister. But उनको ये कहा गया 6 महीने के अंदर आपको दूसरे किसी जगह से इलेक्शन लड़ना पड़ेगा. In the next 6 months you will have to fight a re-election from any one constituency of West Bengal and you will have to become an MLA. अगर वैसा नहीं होता है then you will have to resign. So इसको अच्छे से समझ लीजिए आप लोग, very important. That is, a person can be appointed as a minister at the central level, at a national level. उसको मिनिस्टर बनाया जा सकता है by the prime minister. लेकिन उस इंसान को, that person will have to win an election from any of the constituency and become a member of parliament within 6 months. 6 महीने के अंदर उस पर्सन को इलेक्शन लड़के किसी एक कंस्टिट्यूएंसी से मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट बनना पड़ेगा, अदरवाइज दैट पर्सन विल हैव टू रिजाइन. आर यू अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिस पॉइंट स्टूडेंट्स? क्वेश्चन इज व्हाई, क्यों किसी इंसान को मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट होना ही पड़ेगा टू बिकम अ मिनिस्टर, और व्हाई अ पर्सन नीड्स टू बी एन MLA टू बिकम अ मिनिस्टर एट अ स्टेट लेवल. व्हाई? आप ही लोग सोचो व्हाई. Because the ministers are those people who the people want to take decisions. मिनिस्टर्स को कौन इलेक्ट करता है? द पीपल, isn't it? We give power to the ministers to take decisions on our behalf, isn't it? So अगर आप member of parliament नहीं है, if you are not a member of parliament, or at a state level, if you are not a member of legislative assembly, that means you are not selected by the people of the country. इसका मतलब है आपको लोगों ने चूज नहीं किया है. You are not the choice of the general public. That is why. That is why it is important to be a member of parliament or at a state level member of legislative assembly to become a minister. क्योंकि democracy में only those people can implement laws, can make laws for us जिनको हमने choose किया है, whom we have chosen. Have you all understood now this point?
Yes.
I hope so. इसको आप खुद से पढ़ेंगे. Okay, now be ready for the next class, the first period. I think it's Divya ma'am's period, so be ready for the prayer and the thought. In the next class, at the fourth period, I think we will discuss about cabinet ministers and council of ministers, which is a very important topic, and I'm very sure questions will come from this. Okay, everyone. All can now leave the class.
Yes.
Jai Hind, everyone.
Thank you, Jain sir.